This podcast is in association with the Blast Wing Shooting Kennels, the Rush and a Flush Hunt Club, and is sponsored by American Natural Premium Dog Food, B Mountain Knife Works, and the National Bird Dog Circuit. We be rocking. Welcome back to another episode of Wingmasters Truth Be Told. Well, we want to wish everybody a happy new year right now. Welcome, everybody. Happy New Year. What a great day to be podcasting on a New Year's Day. I think that the new year always brings to me, I like the new year. I think it's a reset button.
New year, new you.
New year, new you is right. And I always like to reinvent myself over the next year and see what adventures bring. This last year has been... woo, what a wild year we've went through and what adventures we've had and how the experiences and what it was like. But a new year, I was talking this last night to some people that I was hanging out with for the new year and basically saying, well, the new year shouldn't be that big of a deal because every day should be New Year's. It's an okay argument, but there's times to where you need to reset stuff. So maybe you had a bad 24. If you have a bad 24, you like to do the excitement of ringing in a new year to leave that behind you now. Leave that in the past. Don't pay attention to what was there and go, okay, I'm ready for a new year, a new you, like you just said, a fresh start, some new goals, and to rebuild yourself. If you had a great year, okay, well, how can we improve the year? How can I have another great year? And how can I move on from what I've already created last year? Man, guys, what an awesome year. We appreciate you guys so much for... if you think about exactly 1 year ago, we sat down at this exact table in the clubhouse first to start, sat down, did our first episode. We're so excited to release it. Creating Wingmasters was our first episode. It was talking about how we got to come to the Wingmasters. Now I think about a year of the Wingmasters brand and the culture of Wingmasters. It's been an awesome culture. We trained so many dogs this year for people. And we started forming this culture where it's hashtag Wingmasters, or hit us up with your pictures when you're hunting a dog, or hit us up at a hunt test when we've helped you out, or stop and visit us or whatever. And we created this culture to where people are coming up to me throughout the year, hey, thank you so much for the podcast. I feel like you're spreading the good stuff. I feel like I can trust you guys. I feel like I can learn from you guys. I feel like you guys aren't lying about anything. And that's what the podcast was about for a year. It was also a learning experience for us and getting things. We now want to build the podcast into more guests now so we can start enjoying more of our guests. We got a rocking guest that we'll talk about later that we'll kind of get ready to announce because we have 5 hours of footage with him that we filmed earlier this year, and we want to give him a call and release it. But what a year. It's been fun.
Yeah, I think it's a great time to reflect.
Yeah.
Like you said, whether you had a good or bad year, yeah, every day can be, you can act like a new year, but it's a great way to reflect on everything you've done in a year, or everything you wish you would have done, and bring it into the next year.
Correct.
With whatever you're doing, whatever you're pursuing.
Right. If you're pursuing something that you want to go further in, or if you want to leave something behind, or if you want to rebuild yourself. I think some people are always this cliche of rebuilding yourself. For example, and it's kind of funny right now, but we'll just get into some funny stuff. An ex-girlfriend said, "You'll never change." I was like, "What are you talking about?" I change all the time. Okay, so
just not in the ways you want.
Yeah, just these ex-girlfriends and stuff. If you're going through a broken relationship, you're going through something. It's you'll never change. Well, there is the core benefits to what you're doing, but if you're an open-minded individual and you know that something's impacting your relationship, say a husband, wife, girlfriend. Right now I don't have a girlfriend or anything like that, but I had this girlfriend. She said this to me. I'm bringing it up because it's broad, but it's just kind of funny. Okay. And it's you'll never change. It's because of what we're going to the new year. The change, all right, is for the better if you feel it's for the better of a relationship, for your business, for your life, for your health. That's change. So what do you mean? Like I'm changing all the time. Like as I grow older, each year you should become a little bit more wiser, right? So that little bit more wiser should change you a little bit. So this year, like one thing I'm thinking about this year change for me while we're on this subject, other than now that some old girlfriend just brought this topic up, but one thing for change is hack away at too much stuff. Like I am a guy who this last year, if you look at the year that I look through, I look at the pictures. I don't know, crap, what I got, maybe like 2,000 pictures this last year of all the things I did. And you look at it and I go, how did I even survive? Like, I don't even know. Like, when you love what you do, which is what I love, I got a passion business. I have a lifestyle. Wingmasters has elevated my mental capacity way higher because it's given me like a new purpose to help people besides just training dogs for people. So it's above me. It's actually like put into me by God, and I'll explain something about this that's really good. I wanted to bring on this podcast that I forgot about. Okay. And I like how as you're going on to it, you're starting to figure out a different way that you want to become. Everybody has a right to do that. So when somebody tells you, oh, you'll never change. Well, change in what? Change in the fact that I'm positive. Yep. Change in the fact that I have goals. Change in the fact that I like to push myself. Change in the fact that I like to live my best life because I have a lifestyle. So what happens is I don't really know what a normal life is. If a normal life is to go to work, hate your job all day, come home, sit down on the couch, watch Netflix until you fall asleep and start it back over again for 365 years, then you'll never get me to change to do that, right? I am an experienced adventure getter guy. I love adventure hunting. I love tournaments. I love hunt tests. I love anything that pushes me to. That's what I thrive on. If I was just to sit around, I guess in what you'd call normal, I guess I'd go crazy.
Yeah.
But anybody can change. So come on, gosh dang people, anybody can change. So all right. So I want to say this. Start this off. I bring this to you. I sent this video. I just watched this video like 3 times yesterday. I'm going to watch this video every morning. And if you want to watch this video, look it up because we all know who I'm going to mention. We all know the man, Steve Harvey.
Yep.
Okay? And he said a thing on this video that freaking just stuck me. And I was like, dang, okay. And me and you were talking about this earlier about where you want to go this year with college or business or whatever you want to do too, right? Okay. Your imagination is your preview to your life's coming attractions. And what he says is, when people talk down about what your preview is, it's because they can't see it. They said God puts the preview in your imagination. All right? In your imagination. If somebody shoots her down or somebody else don't believe in it or don't think it's going to work out, it's not for them to see. It's not for them to see because God didn't put it in their imagination. He put it in yours. So your imagination of what you're imagining for 25 or what you're imagining to change yourself that we're talking about here is a preview that God put in your imagination for your life's coming attractions. It's like you're previewing this up. And go watch that with if you type in Steve Harvey on YouTube or something, but imagination will come up. It is. So it talks about him living in his car for 3 years, losing everything he had twice, being married and divorced 3 times. It just talks about things that he's went through and how he's had to push forward. And that's what the new year is all about, right? But when you go back and what you're talking about is reflecting. So I want to reflect on, like, we ended the year with some tournaments, and I want to reflect on it and spend a little bit of time with it. We don't have to go into too much detail on board, but as long as we're on change, let's talk about a change in dogs, right? All right. I started this year with the podcast and growing with you guys, and I was mentioning a dog named Whisper, and I started this year and Patriot, and they've been like my next, hey, come on. I need you guys to roll over. I need you to change into what I'm expecting you to be, right? And this whole year, believing in them when other people are like, I can't believe you didn't even sell those dogs yet, right? Even yourself included, like a pitcher. Why didn't you sell them yet? I was like, there's something flickering that's in my imagination right now about what they can be, something I believe in, something I only see, which goes back to what Steve Harvey said, right? And going back to that, and it's like, that's fine. I appreciate your opinion, but I see the preview of the coming attraction, right? Okay, and so Whisper has been like this fall, like a rockin' dog for me. And she's the last female that was out of Winnie. So when you think about the first episode of last year, and we go back and reflect, we were talking all about Winnie and Journey and King and Chopper and Cowboy and how the creating of Wingmasters went. And if you haven't listened to those episodes, if you're new to our podcast, go back and watch them. I encourage you to, because they're good episodes that we started last year. Then it kind of gets you to get caught up with us. Okay, well, Whisper now is starting her own legacy this fall, to where she's come back, and to end on her of change, talk about change. I went the whole first season where I couldn't even get a guy staying flusher in the finals in the first quarter, in the first half of the season, meaning like starting in January till like April, I couldn't hardly get in Flushing finals, right? And I'm putting the dogs, I'm like, I believe in them, but man, when are you guys going to quit? Am I going to have to sell you, start over, build some new ones? What am I going to do here? Like, I got to have some competitions too. The second half of the season, to where Whisper won Dan Cathcart's 3-bird challenge that we talked about, 3 birds combined. I screwed her over at Worlds, so she didn't do anything at the Worlds. She won the Invitational Big Money Jackpot. And then I took her down to this tournament that we want to talk about that was in Kansas. And as long as we're on change, and we're on this Candace, on something else, Karma, right?
Oh, yeah.
We were talking about Karma. Alex got this dog named Karma that you guys hear a lot about. What goes around comes around. I love it. I love the name that Alex named Karma. And I had a 5-year in the making of, like, I'm not going to get into politics. And I mentioned this the other day when me and you had a conversation. I'm like, okay, I can, in a position that I'm in, I'm not going to get political amongst my peers around me. I'm not going to say bad about something. I'm not going to, except for in my inner circle, I might talk about somebody. I might talk about different associations. I might talk about different hunt test associations. I might talk about different people. I might talk about whatever. In my circle where I know that I'm safe to be able to talk about it. All right. I believe in karma, just like you got karma, on the fact that when people are jealous of you, or if people are envy of you or are coming at you, see, when you're doing good at something, nobody cares when you're not doing good. Nobody cares when you're not doing good. When you're doing good, what people care about is seeing if they can tear you down. Your true inner circle, your true friends will say, hey, I'm behind you. That's so cool you're doing that. I'm so proud of you. I'm so excited that I can't see what you got, can't wait to see what you're doing next, which is the people around me in Wingmasters and the podcast. And that's why we always thank you guys supporting everything. You people are behind me. If you're a hater or a naysayer, like, how can I catch Vaughn now? Or how can we catch Alec now of them not doing anything? Okay, you're just trying to find something. If you're jealous of what we got going on. All right. Life's opportunities come to you based on what you give to the universe. Right? Okay, so that's a life's opportunities. You might get an opportunity that I don't get. I might get an opportunity you don't get. If you're jealous about somebody else's opportunity, you got to go create the opportunity you want, even if somebody else has the opportunity that you want, right? You got to go create it. So you got to figure out, okay, what am I gonna do if you're looking outside and go, and if you're a person who's jealous of other people, okay, you got to get on your own path.
You got to get off the wagon.
You got to get off the wagon, man. Right? So when I'm talking about this tournament, it was such a redemption tournament to me because for 5 years of me doing good in the BDC, of being tournaments of having Winnie, Journey, Mike, now Candace, now Whisper. Okay, like I always get these, every time I would do well or do something, somebody'd say, well, yeah, that's because he's doing this, or yeah, because he's a cheater, or yeah, because his friends tell him where the birds are. Yeah. So this tournament was freaking perfect that Jacob Edwards ran. It was perfect. And I'm just going to stay on this tournament before we go on to your trip. That the format that they did that I had not ran before was that it's fully sequestered. Now let me explain that to you for a minute and just take a little snippet to explain it to you. We are up in a parking area, and all we can do is sit in our trucks. The judge, the promoter, Jacob Edwards, radios down and says, load field 2. The bird setter doesn't know who's coming there. All right? The judge is up there with you writing your name down, and he's center. He's also your transport. So as soon as they say field loaded, Field 2 loaded. Okay, we jump in a buggy. We drive down to the field. The judge lets us out. He follows you with the buggy with a side-by-side. You shoot your birds. He picks you up at the end of the field. You sign your scorecard. They take you back to the area. So you cannot watch the fields, and you're only allowed in that field one time. So if you entered one time, you're in that field one time. So that way, it's very fair. Nobody was in that field multiple times. I entered 4 dogs. There was 4 fields running, so I was in 4 separate fields. So I didn't have no advantage over anybody else. They take you back to sequestered. You don't know what's going on with everybody else's runs. As the runs come in, they post the runs, and you go keep checking runs to see what you got to beat, right? Okay. Which, in a lot of people's eyes, feels like that's the most fairest way. I don't think it's the most fairest way. I think it's just a really cool format. But it was perfect for me because all these years, everybody said I can't win without watching. All these years, I can't win unless my friends are around. No, all these years, everybody, when I'm doing well, when I've winning everything, all these years of where, let's say I hosted a tournament and I won it. Oh, that's because he knows the bird setters and he knew what the bird setters. No, actually, I won the tournament the weekend ago that I didn't host. I happened to run this tournament. I won this one too. All this stuff. 5 years in the making of that, I get to frickin' Kansas and I get to sit back and just enjoy a competition where my mind's free. I'm not watching. Everybody's on the exact same playing field. All the naysayers got what they want. All the naysayers and all the haters, this is their format. This is what we believe. Live draw on Friday, sequestered fields, everything but handcuffing you to the thing. Patting me down like a prisoner to make sure I don't have the birds in my bag. Okay, everything you want until you get there. All right, that's no problem. Okay, and the cream rides to the top because there was 4 brackets and each bracket brought money. I won 3 of the 4 brackets with my pointers because I could enter Mike and Candace twice. And I just missed winning the second bracket with Mike by 2 seconds to Mav Birkenhoff. Screw you, Mav.
He came back. I ought to go sucker punch him right now.
Yeah, I ought to go sucker punch him right now. He got me by 2 seconds. Otherwise, I would have won every bracket. And so I got my bracket money. I made it to the pointing finals the first day. And I took first, second, third, and swept the whole thing. Great day. Not even bragging about it. Just a great day. And it started stirring the pot of people talking again, which was perfect because there was nothing to talk about other than the fact that I performed. The next day, all right, I got Whisper twice. I got Tim Samuelson Storm twice because I was running for her to try to get her in the dog of the year. And this was a very important tournament for Whisper too because she has to get in the finals to have a chance at dog of the year. If she don't get in the finals, she pretty much can't get in the dog of the year. And for you guys wondering, we've explained it earlier this year. Why the dog of the year is so important is throughout the whole 24 season, we accumulate our points. When we accumulate our points, right now that it's the new year today, within this week, all our points are going to be accumulated, and they're gonna announce who the top 12 spots are to run in the dog of the year runoff at Nationals in March for the National Bird Dog Circuit. So I was driving to Kansas with a hope and a prayer that I was just going to be able to make it into being a dog of the year, and I was going to get on like the 10th or 11th or potentially the 12th spot. I was fighting for the last few spots because Whisper didn't have a good spring. She didn't come into her own. So like we were talking about change, she changed. She came into her own. She won Dan's tournament. And I say this a lot. I say this a lot all the time as a mentor to people. When you get that first win, they'll start winning.
Yeah.
You got to get that first win. And when you get that first singles win, they'll really start winning. So like you can get a first doubles win. Okay. But when you get that first singles win, that's when they'll really start winning. And you'll be like, okay, because it's like you and the dog learned together the spirit of the universe of how to win together. And sometimes it's super hard to get that first win, right? Okay. Next day is the Flushers. It was Sunday. Alex gambling all his money away at the casino.
Yep.
No, just kidding. Actually, you were right there. You were
$20. I disappeared.
Because we went to a casino for supper on Saturday night in Topeka, Kansas.
I ain't never been to a casino before. Where I've seen slots, but I've never actually went to a casino. We walk in, and I see all these live card tables. I'm like, this is so, because I'm not a big slots player. Like, again, I'm first time in an actual casino. I'm like, I'm gonna go play blackjack. I got $20 to lose. They're grabbing dinner. I walk away and I'm gone for like an hour. Next thing you know, I somehow managed to turn $20 into $100 on the blackjack table. I come back, eat some food quick, and I go back and play roulette for another 2.5 hours. And I ended up with $280. So I'm pretty lucky. I mean, obviously, disclaimer aside, that rarely ever happens. It's all pure luck.
Yeah.
Don't ever never gamble more than you can lose. But I said,
Yeah.
I can go play with $20 and have some fun. And next
Yeah.
thing you know, 3 hours later, Uncle Mike's walking
Yeah.
out, and I'm sitting at the roulette table.
4 hours later,
Time to go?
Where the hell's Alec?
Oh,
I love it. Those are the fun times we like to do. We went to the casino to watch the finals at NFR with some of our Cowboy buddies like Dan Cathcart and Ernest V. Hill and Daryl McMullen from out in Wyoming. Some of our good friends out there. So we went up there with them, and then Alec just disappears.
yep, going for
Yeah,
like
he's
3
gone.
hours.
Wins all his entry fees. So that's fun times. So the next day, that was Saturday night. Next day was the Flusher. I get Whisper in the finals, and I get Tim Samuelson Storm in the finals. I end up having a really good run with Whisper. I felt very confident, but then screw you, Bernie Birkenholtz. Came with his Flusher, Danny, and beat me by like 25 seconds or something. And Whisper took second, and Storm took fourth. So I took 2 placements out of that and got in the finals, and ended up with 2 bracket winnings on that, and just had a awesome tournament, like probably one of the coolest tournaments I've had in a while, because I drove there, made all my entry fee money back plus then some on the first day, and then won my above money on the next day.
Like I wanna jump on this with people that, whether they say, I don't know how exactly you want to describe it, but the naysayers about anybody, whether it's you, Timmy, anyone, you can't argue with 5 national championships, 6 world championships. You can't argue with it. So any accolades that you have, I don't know how many are you at? You break 40 super major big cup wins yet? I think you're close.
I'm close, yeah, probably almost 40.
You can't argue with accolades. It's not. I don't know how you can cheat 40 different times. You know what I'm saying?
Like
if somebody
the highest level stage, yeah.
or whatever is happening, you can't
Yeah.
get lucky 40 different times.
No.
So all those naysayers, you got to remember that. You also got to look at accolades too.
Oh,
about
yeah.
people saying blah blah
appreciate
blah. I don't agree with how some people go about it, and it's jealousy at times, or
Right.
it's that they can't do what somebody else is doing, whether it's you or anyone else. And it's pretty much just hunker down and try your best, practice, do all the right things to make yourself better.
Oh yeah,
And then
that's what we're
eventually
talking
you'll
about.
have those accolades.
Yeah,
Like if you want to work for something,
yeah, we just started this off at New Year, New You, right? Okay, I'm glad you just brought that up. This is freaking absolutely perfect on this, because you're not going to get better by complaining about anything. You're only going to get better if you look inside yourself and you decide to get better. And like I tell people all the time, I'm one of the people that would be the worst person for you to be jealous of. Yep. The reason why I say this is I say this all the time. Why would you be jealous of me? Okay, I say that because I'll help you. I'm the only person that puts on tournament hunting seminars. I'm one of the only people that puts on private hunt test seminars in the summer in the state of Wisconsin, for people to come learn hunt test without feeling like they're like somebody makes them feel stupid. That's the other thing that's a bad thing about seminars at times. Like, people go to seminars, like I've been to seminars where the seminar host, the person who's putting the seminar on, is there to just show how smart he is and how much better he is than you. He wants to promote his own ego, right? I, at my seminars, make sure that I tailor the seminars, and you've been there with me, to make sure that every person that's there gets something. That they feel they got something and got value enough to raise themselves up for whatever they came to my seminars for, right? Which is, we're going to be posting a seminar schedule for the new year earlier now. That's going to be coming out here this week. And so get signed up for our seminars. And so I will teach you what I know. Alec, Craig Anderson, Justin Hoffman, Tony Peterson, okay. My buddy Tim Samuelson, which him and I were ride and die partners, okay. My friend, I'm trying to think so else, but I'll just say it right off the bat. Okay, you guys are around me. You want to learn how to tournament hunt. I shared my knowledge with you. I told you about genetics. I told you about what shotguns. I told you about what shells. I told you how to read the field. I told you how to play the plant cards. I told you how to be humble. I told you how to win good, how to lose with dignity, how to look yourself in the mirror, how to do mental management, how to put things in the past quickly, how to stay positive when things don't look right. That's me from being a martial arts instructor. And look at all you guys being like the top players in the country. And then once you guys are out, I mention your guys' names because of how successful you were by not being jealous of me, learning from me, and becoming a friend of mine that we share the sport together, right? That's why I say it. I'm not saying, well, of course I'm proud of all you guys, but I'm not saying it from a standpoint, oh, you guys owe me because I showed you the sport. No, that would be the ego again of like, that would be my ego as a mentor saying, oh, the only reason he knows all that is because of me. No, you had to apply it. I just gave you sound, and then you do your own stuff. Get your own ways to look at it. And then you share your own ways of looking at it. I share my ways, and we come around to these fun conclusions. And we have these badass conversations in the truck, and when we're out having a drink at the bar or whatever, we're just sitting down at the end of the day when we're tired, we start having these badass training and tournament hunting and hunt test conversations, dog psychology, shooting, whatever, mental management, life, depression, mental health. We're in a group of people where we're all like-minded and where we all build ourselves up.
In 2025, if you think this is going to be a different year than any other year, when we're considering jealousy, when has jealousy ever taken you anywhere? It's never taken you anywhere. All it's done is actually put you back. So those feelings,
great comment.
Those feelings of jealousy, like I've had feelings of jealousy. Don't get me wrong, that's a natural thing. Yeah. But if you're able to put them aside,
right,
and then hunker down, do your job, and push as hard as you can for whatever you want,
right,
that's going to be the best thing you can do.
Right.
Jealousy will get you nowhere.
Right. So don't be jealous. Get over it.
Yeah.
Come on. New year, new you.
New year.
If it's a new year, new you, make us jealous of you. And not by buying some freaking $70,000 vehicle you can't afford that we don't give a shit about.
Yep.
By an experience that we're excited about. Like, I'm not jealous, but I like hearing about somebody shooting a big whitetail buck because, man, I want to probably get back into bow hunting, get back into archery this year. I'm not jealous, but I look at it and I get inspired again by watching somebody put their whole life into bow hunting and watch them shoot the big buck and the enjoyment of it. It's like, I might want that feeling again.
You just went into a really good point about jealousy because it literally diverges. It's a crossroad. Jealousy can actually cause you to do better or do worse. Like, I mean, that's
exactly.
It's literally a driving force. It can either be a driving force or a putting down force.
Yeah. Yeah, so I like watching things that are motivating. Obviously, I'm motivated with business now with the videography. You and I are studying the videography and the marketing and everything that we want to do with Wingmasters for this year that we'll talk about a little bit more. But I think it's just important to bring that because we're here for, truth be told, is the fact that you're getting to know us is the fact that we're here to help you and have fun, and we live life. I live life to the fullest. You live life to the fullest. You're trying to become better. You're encouraging each other. You're going through this life together because, oh man, life's going to hit you. You're going to have hard times. You need people that back you. But you got some type of passion going. Wingmasters is a passion culture that gives you like, I got a bird dog. I love hunting. I love going to hunt tests. I love going to tournaments. I love hunting with my dog. So that's why we're here to share experiences. But to move off of jealousy, are we over jealousy?
I am. Don't be jealous.
Don't be jealous. For the rest of the podcast. Now, don't you dare be jealous. All right. So, but Alec, you went on a cool trip. So, moving onward into experiences. And I've experienced it before, too. And I was so happy that you were getting to do it. So, we went and had our Iowa trip. And Iowa was hard this year. We just couldn't get into the Roosters. Like, we're the last day of it. I got in and I posted about it with my boy Patriot. And I got into getting Journey's last retrieve. So if you guys were following my post on Facebook, I really appreciate that because I got Journey a pheasant in his mouth for the last time that he'll ever go to Iowa probably because next year he'll be 11 and a half. So, and you can see it in him. And it wasn't a special. He tracked it, flushed it. I shot it, but we got feathers in the mouth because we had this whole cattail slough erupt. I shot it. I let my buddies Tony and Tony Peterson and Nick Nelson move forward, and I had shared my moment with them. I took some video with them. I posted it online. I was petting them. I sat down and said, you know, buddy, this has been a great ride in case we don't get to do this again. Maybe we will, maybe we won't, but most likely it won't happen again, right? Okay. Then the flip side was what I said is passing the torch in one of the Friday tidbits. I wrote, Patriot and I could not get a wild bird together in pheasant hunting, and I know for some of you might be like, oh, what's the big deal? You're just going out and killing birds, so who cares what dog does it? No, it's because I'm forming you hear me talk all the time about syncing up with a dog. I want special moments with each dog. I've gotten special moments with Whisper this year in competition, which is what I've been waiting for, right? I got special moment with Patriot now because I believed in him. Remember back to the imagination, my preview, not somebody else's, right? And I got to see what I imagined Patriot being, I got to see it. Finally come. It was what was in my preview, my imagination. And I saw the preview in real time. When I saw the preview in real time, I end up shooting this bird. He tracks it. I end up shooting this bird up this ravine. Bam, I pound it. He brings it back lightning fast. From then on, he's just tracking birds, and we just go limit out over the next 45 minutes. Go for 3 years where I can never shoot a wild bird over him.
And then go shoot limit.
And then for 45 minutes go. So that's just how fast something can change. So I never gave up on the thought process of what I imagined he could be. Now, I literally said this, and you know it's out because you can verify it. I said this to a lot of people that are my friends. I said, Patriot better figure out how to be a bird dog this fall, or he's going to live at somebody else's house in January. Because I'm a breeder. And you go, well, that's pretty harsh, Mike. Well, I'm a breeder. So I have to own a dog that I believe in. If I start not believing in him, it doesn't mean he's a bad dog. He means he can be somebody else's dream dog. But he's not what I want to have around my place for the next decade. Well, Patriot showed that he wants me to look at him another year, and I'm very proud of him right now. And I think he's going to end up becoming more of a staple here staple for what I've been imagining with Steely there. But got done with Iowa, had that experiences, had a great way going home, but then you diverged and freaking got to take off and go on a once-in-a-lifetime. Well, for some people call it a once-in-a-lifetime trip, although if you wanted to, you could do this trip every year because we have the connections. But
yeah.
But you took off and headed to ETs, right?
Yeah, so I was fortunate enough. I decided to make a trip out west. Like it is a once-in-a-lifetime if you, for them not planning on doing Western Nationals ever there again. But Chaos put me in a position where I decided that I was going to chase High Point Dog when in the beginning of the year I had a 1-year-old dog and a year and 3 months, and I had no aspirations to chase High Point Dog. I just wanted to start placing and doing better at tournaments with my own dog. And then next thing you know, after Worlds, I said, I guess I'm going to have to chase High Point Dog because I was only 30 points behind the number one dog in the BDC, which is Pyro. So I decided to take off on a trek and sign up for Western Nationals. Begged you to come, but you don't want to come with me. You don't want to come play.
I just stay here and take everything, hold the fort down.
But my first trip was from Iowa to ET, so I'm very gracious for ET and Francis for letting me stay. They're always great to me.
Yeah, and that was in Cheyenne, Wyoming, right?
Yep, Cheyenne, Wyoming. So that was my first stop. I drove right through Nebraska,
which is about halfway, right?
Yeah, it was about 10 hours, and then I had another 10 hours. So, yep, halfway. Stayed there for 2 days, hung out. E.T. showed me how he's going to start running Oli. And I sent you that video. Time, and he's holding this squeaker toy up, and Oli's still hanging on.
Oli, the little rat, little mini rat terrier?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Oh, he was cracking me up. And then I drove another 10 hours through Salt Lake City, saw the Salt Flats, where it's 100 miles of just straight. That was really cool. Never been to Utah. And then I stopped at Ronnie Rick's, and wow, what a gorgeous place. He's got two of his mounts are Boone and Crockett certified. His desert sheep and his gosh dang pronghorn antelope. He is an awesome guy. And I didn't plan on it, but like going through it, I had aspirations to go waterfowl hunting in Nebraska because I always wanted to do that, but I didn't plan on doing anything else. And then Ronnie Rick's was talking to me about chucker hunting, and through the weekend I was thinking about it. I'm like, I'll let you know about going wild chucker hunting in the mountains. So we go to the tournament, and he shows up, and it was nothing like I've ever seen before with that sagebrush and how conditions can change so much. Like I thought it was hard in Hereford, Colorado, where conditions can change, but this is out there is next level, and it's so circumstantial. So I went there, and I was trying to put it into light where like I was manifesting that I could pull off with the dog right now I'm going with, my partners that I have and me, that I want to take home both big cups and be the High Point dog going into nationals. Well, it didn't turn out High Point. I could not get in the drive. There's no excuses. I have no excuses for what happened. I just didn't make it happen with Chaos in the doubles. We ran right away in the morning. Somebody else found one more bird than us. Nobody found 5 birds, and there's no excuse. I just couldn't get it done in the doubles with him. But then Top Gun, same thing. I had a ripper going, 4 birds in 5 minutes, and could never find the 5th bird. I spent 10 minutes looking for one bird, and I know where the bird is. Yeah. I know where the bird is.
Based on the plant card, you know.
I had 2, but with the plant card I knew where the bird was. I know there's some that you don't know. There's 2 options, but I knew where the bird was, and I sat there for 10 minutes. shaking my head trying to figure out. And then Utah. But one thing I was really proud of myself with all these circumstances, I never got like so frustrated where I put my gun down and don't be ready. Like we've talked about that, where you get frustrated. Next, the bird pops up, and if you would have been ready and shot it. So like I just didn't have it there. And then Whisper, same thing. 4 birds in 6 minutes. I knew what I had to beat because I knew there was a 14-minute and 30 run clean, and I had 4 birds in 6 minutes and sat there for another 9 minutes and couldn't find the 5th bird. And I knew where it was again. It's just like, oh man, it was frustrating. But there's nothing. You tried it and it just didn't work out how you wanted it. And then same with Mike, pop birds. I mean, we had both for Top Gun and doubles. We had a rocking time. He was finding all the birds, but then the birds were popping. So then got knocked out on that. And that's just circumstantial, nothing you can do. So, but it was like for the prelims and entering the finals, it was a really good experience because it was something that people can complain about circumstances, but you got to remember they happen to everybody.
Right.
So like every time something happened to me, it could have just happened to somebody else, and it did happen to other people. So you're never going to catch us complaining about stuff like that.
Right.
It's on to the next one.
Right.
And then me and Travis ended up getting Bonsai to the doubles finals. We took second with them. Cowboy won it. His first super major win.
John Lewis.
Yep.
John
so that
Lewis.
was really, he was so excited. So congratulations to you, John.
Congratulations, John Lewis.
That was really cool.
We call him Cowboy as his nickname.
Oh, he's a funny guy.
And
he loves bloodies.
Oh, yeah, just like Alec. He's a bloody connoisseur.
He ordered a pitcher. I said, what are you getting? She started making something when we were at the bar before the banquet, and he said, I'm getting a bloody. I said, get me one of those too. We're sipping bloodies out of a pitcher. So that was cool. And then I got 5th in Top Gun pointing with Hyde, and that was a stinger because Mark didn't have enough. How they can enter one dog, but how it goes is you can't have, they run Top Gun and then on the same day and then doubles on the same day for each division for flushers or pointers. So it's hard to be able to run the dogs you want when you're limited to 8 spots, and then it's Top Gun and then doubles and doubles on 2 days. So he had me run Hyde, and I got him to the finals in Top Gun pointing, and then I'm just flat out smoking at 4 birds and 315. Frickin' sent him on this line on the back. I knew it was back left. Rolls. Next thing you know, wax point. I call point, walk up to it. He's locked up. I'm like, oh my God, it's game over. Ain't nobody going to be able. If you touch this, you're a better man than me then, because I didn't waste no time and I had the plant. I had the right plant for this. Walk up to it. I see the little hole where they put the bird and the feathers, and there's no bird.
Oh.
And I sat there
Painful.
there for 12 minutes looking for an extra, and I could never find an extra. And
Oh,
I'm like,
so painful.
And Mark's like, I don't think I've ever seen a fast run on that field. He's like, it would have been a 330. I've never seen that in that field for how it was. So I walked up and I saw the little hole and just circumstance.
Oh, painful.
So that was
just been there.
He's like, he's watching, and Hyde is a very nice dog, and he enjoys running. He's like, I couldn't believe it. You're like, he's gonna win this right now because I was the last dog to run.
Right.
And
that's just painful.
Brutal.
Yeah.
But I ended on a good note with Chaos winning the puppy. It was just super tough. There ain't nothing like that I've ever experienced. Like I thought at the Players Championship where the cover was over your head, dang near, I thought that was the toughest stuff I was ever going to see. But that's a whole another realm out there.
Right.
There ain't if you want to go to a tournament that you never experienced before, and if they ever host it out there again, that's one that
yeah,
it's something different. But it was very enjoyable. It was a great experience. And then, so ended on that. I decided to drive back to Ronnie Ricks. And now this is where I was leading, where he is big into chukar hunting. So we talked last year at Worlds or this past couple months ago in October, we talked about if you ever want to go wild chukar hunting, you talk to Ronnie Ricks.
Right.
So he got to talking. He's like, you really want to go chukar hunting? I'll get everything loaded up. And by the way, he won the Top Gun first Top Gun win with Dally. Very nice dog.
Nice.
So congratulations to you, Ron. And then he said he had everything packed up Friday before he came. He was so excited. And his wife, Brenda, told me that. And I'm like, oh, this is going to be a blast. So we went up to the mountains in the Tuscarora Mountains, 3 hours off the highway. Awesome. And then you're on these cattle roads where there's cattle guards everywhere. And it's just like cowboy, like where you'd ride a horse. But there's tracks, bumpier than heck. And 3 hours off. And we finally get to the spot, and I look around, and there's all these huge mountains. I'm like, holy smokes. He sets up his jumping jack trailer, which is really cool, pop-up tent on a trailer, and loads of UTV, and we go hunting. And, oh, man, I wish you would have been there. That's one thing I'm looking forward to going.
Yeah, we're going to have to do that again and film it.
There ain't nothing like chukar hunting. And it's funny because the first day we went up in the mountains and hunted, and then the second day we went to this big gorge that, I don't know, 5 miles, 6 miles long, and the day that we went to the gorge was the last day we were there, and he said, I showed you what hard chucker hunting is, or real chucker hunting is. Now I'm going to show you what the easy kind of hunting is. And it was just a great experience. I shot Hungarian partridges up in the mountain, and then my first chucker over his pointers. And then the next day, I talked to you about it. I'm like, I don't want to drop Mike. He's got the big Kansas tournament because that's where I was heading afterwards.
Mikey, my pointer, yep.
And I let him out, and I talked about this, and I let him out, and he was just jumping up and down, just thinking that he was going to run. I'm like, I really want to bring you, but I looked at him, and he's just, tail just cracking. I said, okay, let's do it. We won't tell Uncle Mike. So I whip him out. Ronnie Ricks gets me set up with a GPS collar, and the problem was he wanted to split up. So I'm like, okay, this is actually perfect because I'm going to let Mike roll. I send him on this line. 45 seconds later, he's on point at 200-some yards. I'm like, I talked about this. There ain't no way he's already on point from 250 yards from the truck. Walk up, freaking 20, 30 chucker, get up right in the sagebrush, dump one for him. Oh, man. I'm like, this is just crazy. What are the odds? Send him on another one. And we talked about this, and I called you about this. It was interesting because how intelligent Mike actually is. So when you get such an intelligent dog, whether it's a pointer or flusher, it's incredible to watch.
Right.
Because his bird smarts are out of this world, where the next 3 coveys of chucker that we got into, he whacked point, and the wind was swirling where we were at, and he took one more step on those 3 in a row. He took one more step just trying to figure out what was going on, and the birds popped. And he stood to the flush, and then after that, I didn't have one covey get up, whether it was quail, didn't get into any hunts, but or chucker. He first scent whacked on point. I had him pointing at 100, 150 yards where I had to release him because I'm like, I'm looking all around at a 50-yard radius, and I can't find him. So he's so intelligent to stop on first scent once he got the idea that, hey, no birds are dropping when I take one more step when they're flushing, so I better stop doing that.
Right.
Because he's not even by me.
Right.
And then one of the best experiences right there was I walk up to him when he smacks point, and his lip is curled, and I see his eyes moving. And I'm like, I walk in front of him. Nothing's flushing. Next thing you know, out of the corner of my eye, I see these covey, and I didn't know they were covey of valley quail in there, but they run through him. And I told you this, I'm not lying. They literally probably ran under the dog. He was just standing still, didn't move a muscle, but they just ran. Next thing you know, I'm chasing him, throwing my hat down, I dump one. And it was really interesting because I hit about 3 or 4 more coveys of valley quail, and they would just start running. Well, his lip would curl. And I had one where I released him 4 different times, and he tracked those valley quail over 100 yards, and I got another one out of him. And it's just like, holy, you can't pay for that.
No.
That's just pure genetics, intelligence.
Oh, man.
He is so special in something like that. I couldn't believe it. I was watching. I was just so grateful to be a part of that. One of my other favorite ones is I send him on this line, and we're talking sagebrush, so there's a bunch of these sagebrushes all around, but then it's like desert sand, and then there's gaps. Well, he's running this line, and he just stops on a dime and spins just like he's in a tournament, tail up, whacked. I'm like, holy smokes, okay, I bet there's something there. I walk up to him, 2 chucker get out of this bush. I dump a double for him, just like it was in a tournament. It was awesome. just full-blown sprint, and then when you saw him turn on that dime, you just saw dust kick up, and then there he is whacking point. Now, the fun part is we got into a lot of coveys chuckers. Some of them it was just a little bit too chaotic where I couldn't pick one out, or I was walking to him. He stopped on first scent, but they flushed, and they must have heard me. And you got to be really quiet. That's one thing I did learn. But I come down to, I call you, and I say, I don't know what you're doing. I left you a voicemail. I don't know what you're doing, but I just shot a limit of chucker and some valley quail over Mike. Bah. I hung up. Well, I'm looking through my bag, and I only had 5 chucker. I'm like, what the heck? I shot 6 chucker over him. And this was within an hour and a half, and we were just rocking. And then I realized that I shot one, and I don't know if I winged it. I must have winged it and I never found it. I spent 15, 20 minutes trying to track it. And we talked about this, where it's hard on wild birds, especially when you got 20 to 30 in a covey, if you get one of those, where they go up, the dog ain't going to chase the one that you shoot. I mean, you're picking one out. He did have, like, with that one, the 2 chucker that were just by themselves, pick those out perfectly. But when you got 20, 30 chucker, I'm not expecting a dog to see one bird fall when he's chasing the rest of them, trying to figure out which one you're trying to shoot at. So I just couldn't find that one. And then the craziest part about this whole story was I only brought like 12 shells. I shot 2 quail, and 5 chucker. And then I missed a couple doubles out of the thing. So I come down to 1 shell. I'm like, there ain't no way I'm leaving without 1 more chucker, and I have 1 shell. This is just the wildest thing over Mike. So we walk back, and we start walking back to the canyon, and I hit a covey of quail, but I didn't shoot at them because they were running, and they got out of range. So I'm saving my 1 shot. I'm like, I need a covey of chucker. And walk back, don't hit nothing. I saw some chucker fly over, but they were way out, so they must have been something that I flushed earlier. And then we get about 300 yards from the truck, and I'm like, man, I cannot believe that I didn't get this limit over him. I'm like, but how magical, what a storybook ending this would be if I have 1 shell, I need 1 chucker, and I smack him with just 1. Frickin' he runs this line, he's just hunting his heart out. You can see he's tired, and never quit on me once, and he smacks point about 300 yards from the truck. I'm like, oh my gosh, please tell me this is a covey of chucker. I walk up to him, and he's hardcore locked up. So I'm like, there's something here. Start walking up to him, keep walking. His eyes are just straight forward. Keep walking. I get right by his rear end, and the first covey gets up, and I pull up my gun, and I got a perfect shot. I pull the trigger, it goes click. I'm like, oh my gosh, I quick break open my gun, reclose it because I thought I didn't have my pins reset. Another covey gets up even closer to me. I pull up again. It goes click again.
Oh.
I looked down quick, and then I saw that I had it. I only had 1 shell, so it was in my top barrel. I saw I had it switched to the under. So I quick try and flip it to the over, and I shoot, and I too far out. And I'm like, oh my gosh. He gave me the perfect storybook ending, and I screwed it up there. So that's how that story ended. I did not get my storybook ending because I had it on under instead of over. Oh, man. That's brutal.
That is brutal.
That's brutal. Just a phenomenal dog. And it was so much fun because I don't enjoy hunting over pointers that much. Mm-hmm. Like personally. Like, I don't enjoy hunting wild birds over them because it's so hard to get those right circumstances.
Right, sir. Yeah.
But
right moments.
I can tell you right now, I won't ever hunt without a pointer in the mountains. And when you're chucker, Hungarian partridge, quail, you need a pointer. And I was happy to have that one with me. I could tell you that much.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Yep.
That conversation actually came out the other day. A guy called me and said, I'm thinking about getting a pointer over labs. Because he has really good labs out of my breeding. And I told him, and I think this comes up to a good subject to throw in here right now. I told him a pointer has too many rules. There's too many things with a pointer that can go wrong. Don't get me wrong. I like the breed. Don't get me wrong, I love Mike. I love Candace. I love the pointing breeds. It's magical when they do it, the stories you just told me, where he's flying and the dust flies up and he slams point. It's a magical thing. But the birds just don't cooperate with pointers like they do flushers. You take a flusher, and let me give you a simple example. A bird's running, all right? The dog's tracking, all right? The dog flushes ahead of the dog 20 yards. It's a flusher. You dump it. You're with a flusher. It's out there. It finally flush. You do it. Okay, you're with a pointer. He's going. He points. You move, and he's tracking. As he's tracking, it flushes. Technically, you shouldn't shoot that bird. All right, because he didn't point it. So what can happen with a pointer is you start shooting too many birds of him not pointing. Pretty soon, they don't even feel they have to point anymore. They'll start running and tracking and looking up and running and almost turn into a flusher, right? Steady to wing and shot is what you read about. It's got this aura about it over, decades and decades of steady wing. There's actually, L. Hugh Pointers, which I talk about, Robert Welly wrote a book called Steady to Wing and Shot. It was called, and that book sold a lot of copies from I think the 60s or 70s or 80s somewhere. Great book. Okay, steady to wing and shot. So you understand me on the pointers means that the bird's flush in front of the pointer. He is not to release standing there. Mike's not to release standing there until I shoot. When I shoot, he can release and go chase the birds. Up until that point, when the birds get up and flush, he has to stand still until I shoot, right? Some people like steady to flush. As soon as they flush, the dog can go. Okay? Some people like steady to wing shot and fall, meaning that the bird will get up, they'll shoot it, it'll land, you'll tap or tweet the whistle or tap the dog on the head, set him for the retrieve, so he's got to stand through the whole thing. Steady to wing, shot, fall, right? Okay. to sum up this conversation I had, he called me and said, I said, here's the thing. A pointer, the reason why I call them the Air Force is for a reason. They get out and get after it like you were doing out there in the mountains. You send them on Air Force because you're talking about ground that is wide open that you can see everywhere for miles. So therefore, having a pointer to go cover them miles.
Plus, I don't want to hike up and down mountains.
Yeah, you want to hide up and down mountains, right? Okay, if you're going to hunt chukars or pheasants or quail or anything in cover where you got to navigate it, okay, in order to make the shot, you're going to need them close. Well, then you just do it with a flusher. And they track them and you wait for them to flush. And you don't care if they flush. Even if they don't flush in front of the dog, you shoot them, right? So I don't, and here's the other part of it. Like you were saying about Mike. So he goes and points. And as he's on point, you're walking up, the birds hear you, they scurry out, they flush. Okay. Well, or Mike goes up, he points, they feel too much pressure, they flush. All right. Well, in that case, you'd be like, people would be like, oh, well, I want to make sure I'm saying this. I have two things coming to mind, but okay. Oh, well, if he wasn't out of range, you'd be able to shoot those. Well, no, because if he wasn't out of range, I wouldn't even know there was birds over there.
Oh, and then
I would have never covered that.
That's what I was just gonna. You literally read my mind because I was gonna say if I would have taken Chaos or Karma on that little expenditure, I probably found 25 coveys. I would have been lucky to find one.
Right.
It's pure luck that I just found one because they're literally in open spots, but you'll never see them. It's wild in between that sagebrush. If I can't cover that ground,
yeah.
And then with the flusher, if I let them cover that ground, guess what? They ain't pointing and they're going right in. And guess what? I still ain't gonna get them.
You still ain't gonna get them. So there's certain birds that are good to be at the pointer, but you're overall, all around, easy to train. Keep a flusher in range. Let him flush, or if you flush, so he becomes a flusher and a retriever, right? You're walking, the dog's to your left, a bird flushes to your right, you dump it, he don't see it, you bring him over there, you teach him to find the dead, right? So then he becomes a retriever because he didn't see it. He flushes the bird over here, you dump it, he finds the fall, he grabs the bird, he recovers it, he brings it back, okay? The bird starts to run on him, he tracks the bird, he flushes it, you shoot it, okay? He starts to track a bird, the bird tries to double back, it sees you, it flushes by you, you shoot it, he's still in the weeds, you shoot it anyway, you bring the dog over to find the dead bird and recover it, right? Okay, that's hard to do with a pointer. It's super hard to do with a pointer. And I know that all you pointer advocates are going to be like, Mike, you know what I'm talking about? I got a pointer that can do it. And I understand that. But in terms of no rules and being easy, all right? Because what happens is if your pointer doesn't have the mental management like Mike has and he wasn't trained properly, pretty soon he just runs out there and keeps flushing birds before you even get a chance to go there. So if Mike went out there, like you said, a couple coveys that he busted and he learned to back off of them, if you got a dog that doesn't learn that actually gets more drivey,
yeah.
Well, then he keeps going to point a covey and breaking them before you get there saying, screw you, because he has no bird manners for you, right?
Like, it's so important, the species, like you said.
Right.
Chukar are mountain birds.
Right.
They're bred to look down.
Right.
So that's why we use them in tournaments. If you don't know why we use chukar in tournaments and not pheasants, because you know what, you might get a chukar that 1 in 50 that run. Okay, well, you'll have 50 out of 50 if you use pheasants.
100%.
So that's another thing. Like, so when you run pointers in South Dakota or Iowa and they whack point, well, shoot, I got 300 yards to make up of that. Pheasant's probably gone.
Right.
That rooster is probably gone
Right.
because they felt that just the slightest pressure, they're out of there.
Right.
I mean, look at how many times they circle back on our own labs, and we're walking past, they're flushing behind us, and we just
Right.
walked. We had 6 guys that just walked through there.
Yeah, with 6 dogs even.
So
yeah. So no, it's and it's not a right or wrong. I mean, guys, there's really, like, if you're saying, oh, there's an argument, I want to try to prove you wrong. Well, there's really no argument because I own both. Yeah, there's ones that do better species. Like, there's times where if it's quiet in the woods and it's soft and the grouse are holding tight up here in northern Wisconsin, well, shit, I want to take Mike because he's going to tell me they're there. I'm going to be able to sneak up and I'm going to look in front of Mike, look where the openings are, get in front of Mike where the openings are and dust the grouse. If it's crunchy leaves, less foliage, and as the birds hear us coming, they keep running like a rooster in the woods. Okay, well, I have a prayer because Mike's going to go over there. He's going to try to point him. They're going to flush in front of Mike, and I'm nowhere near Mike.
yeah.
So it don't work, right? Where at least if I'm in the woods, I have my flushers, they're running away from the pressure. All of a sudden, I see my flushers start tracking. Well, at least I can run through the woods and keep up with my flushers like I do in a pheasant field in order to shoot them, or whistle sit them, move up, and try to get a clear shot on a grouse. The grouse is their hardest bird to shoot, right?
Yeah.
But So you need to know the adjustments of being a wingmaster. That's why the culture of the wingmaster. That's why the wingmaster name is so universal. The dog's becoming a wingmaster because he's becoming more intelligent on the birds, like you mentioned with Mike. You're becoming a wingmaster because you're becoming more intelligent how to outsmart the birds with your dog. And then you two as a team are trying to fill your game bag, right? And that's, so that's where I want to roll into a little bit about that right now, because I had this actually a thought process in my head. Okay, what's your dog's assessment at the end of the season? Duck hunting, pheasant hunting, chucker hunting, grouse hunting, whatever hunting you do. How happy were you with them at the end of the season? All right, so let's just go down a couple checklists, and then let's go back and forth with one right now. Let's ping pong this. Okay, the first thing I'm gonna say is the assessment. Okay, let's paint the picture that we're upland hunting right now. Let's start with upland hunting. Okay, let's do the assessment. I'll start with the first assessment. First assessment was, how long did that young dog look for birds before coming back to me? Okay, number one. Now you give me one. An assessment.
I would say, is the dog staying in range?
Okay.
Listen and turn in when I double tap him on the collar.
Okay, is he staying in range for
cooperating with me?
Okay, I would say next thing, will he go into thick cover?
Oh, that was gonna be mine, you son of a gun. That's a good one. How does he hunt with other dogs?
Right.
Is he following other dogs, or is he hunting on his own?
Right. Okay.
Independence.
Right. Okay. And then next thing I would say is, how is he trying to create something? Like, so if there was a bird here 20 minutes ago, does he go that spot where the bird was 20 minutes ago and starts trying to create something out of it? Like, hey, boss, there's a bird here. Kind of get ready. I'm trying to figure out if it's still around here. Okay.
This kind of ping pongs off your first one, but quit. I want to know if he quits. If I could put him down, like not even walking beside me, but like completely, is he quitting me?
Right.
Like, is he just lollygagging out there? Or is he actually just trying to hunt?
Right.
Hunt. I would evaluate what his quit level is.
Right. And with that, ping ponging off of that, I would say back to, I want to know if he's learning how to get his second gear. So second gear would be to where now he's got that first 15 minutes. Okay, did he shift down and just start painting and just hunting and just start going into second gear? Or did he do the first gear the whole time, burn out, and now is walking next to you?
And I would say marking ability. How can you go bring me a rooster when I shoot it in a bunch of cane?
Right.
Can you figure it out?
Can you figure out?
Can you mark it through? Like, one thing that pops up, this is great, is remember when you and me shot at that rooster? We were down in Iowa last year, and we were in that back left portion of that cane, and a rooster got up, and it was you and me both double tapped, and we brought it down, and we're like, we don't even know where that landed, and Chaos was gone, and we're like, I don't think he's gonna get that bird. Next, you know, you had it.
Right.
Like, what's your marking ability? Are you gonna be able to dig out a bird when we don't even know where it is? Cattails, sugarcane, high grass.
Right. Okay, then I would say how their nose is adjusting for the conditions of the time of the day. Right?
Ooh, that's a good one.
That's another one.
You got any more?
All right, no, it's fine. But we'll stop there. That's okay. I mean, we gave you guys some really good assessments. Okay, and then maybe I'll give one more. The maturity level. So now, how did, from the start of your season this year, okay, how do you feel when I say maturity? I'm not just saying that he grew older. I'm saying, how did he mature in bird smarts of everything we just mentioned? How overall did he stay on the ground longer, do second gear, use his winders, get in better cover, all the stuff we just said? Do you feel that started coming together as a package? You want everything we just mentioned to come together as a package, right? Okay, so now let's do a fun one for waterfall, because
I got the first one.
So come back. Okay, before we start this, talk about what you did on the way home from Ronnie Rick.
So leading off that, thank you very much, Ronnie Rick. I'm very gracious. It was an amazing opportunity. Thank you for everything. But then I left chucker hunt, and I'm like, I want to go to Nebraska, and I want to go shoot some geese, because we didn't have a very good waterfowl season. I had to go about an hour and a half west, and I just didn't have the time. So I hooked up with Brock and Brody. Unfortunately, Brock couldn't go there. He was going to a football game, but I hooked up with Brody, and oh, man.
Brock and Brody lay.
Yep, and oh, man, there ain't nothing like, I've never seen so many geese in my life. And Andrew was the other guy. He was a phenomenal caller for us. They set us up in these pit lines. And I've heard about them, but I ain't never seen it. They got a Blackstone down there. I mean, it's underground. It's framed in like a little cabin, but it's a rectangle, and it's probably 6 feet wide and, 15, 20 feet long. And Blackstone down there, seats everywhere, cup holders. I mean, and then they have these sliders on top. So you're watching through this little crack up there, if you're watching on camera, and you throw it forward when you say take them. And then you jump up and you pop up and start shooting them. I mean, if you have the flyway for it, it's a great thing. But around here, they're so inconsistent.
Right.
We don't have a major flyway. So if you got those big, like they had big pieces of water that they're buying, so much feed in fields because they're farmers. They're farming
It's
the
like a deer
summer,
stand for geese.
and then they go goose hunting all winter and ducks. But if you don't have that, you're not able to do that. But this is just the wildest thing that I've ever done. I mean, we shot in 55-degree weather and no wind. We shot 11 the first morning. And then we went out the next morning. I said, Mike, I'm not going to make it to Kansas tonight. I'm going goose hunt one more night. And we limit out in 45 minutes.
Yeah. How many guys was that?
Just 3.
Yeah, cool.
Just 3. And it was just.
But you could shoot 5, right?
Yeah, we could shoot. In Nebraska, you can shoot 5. And they're just. I've never seen something like that. And I didn't know how. You don't know how good it is somewhere else until you get there.
Right.
Like, I'm sure there's. Like I said, I've seen great places around here. But it's so hard to get to them for so long. I mean, these guys are driving 5 minutes away from their house, hopping in the pit line, getting set up in 15 minutes, and they're ready to hunt.
Right.
They show up at pretty much daybreak.
Yeah.
And they throw out their decoys in 10 minutes, and they're ready to roll.
Yeah. I mean, you can't beat that.
So that was just a phenomenal experience. I got hit by a goose. I never had that happen before, but we were shooting up. I don't know if it was me or Brody who shot, and a goose landed right on my head and landed by. So I got that one picked up. But when we're talking about, I think you're going to go into maturity and how your dog evolved throughout your duck season next.
Right.
I want to talk about, I didn't realize how important on the hunt blind running is. So you can teach it with a bumper as much as you want. You can teach it with a frozen bird as much as you want. But there's nothing that I've seen work so well other than on the hunt. Like once you get them to that level of running a blind, because Cass has done nothing but for the past 3 months done tournaments and upland hunting. And my first blind was the choppiest blind I think I've ever ran. I mean, he ping ponged again. It's like a 20-yard blind, 30-yard blind, and just ping pong because he wanted to hunt the whole time he was there. Well, that's all I've been doing with him. So what am I expecting? So as a handler, I'm nicking him, giving him a proper cast, correcting his behavior, and then he's in a little dog box. So all of the retrieves that he had were blind retrieves. You can't see nothing. You put them in a box, they close the cover, and then there's no dog blinds. You can't see a lick. So by the second one was a little better. Third one was even better. And then by the fourth one on the first day, I was just lining them. I just send them dead back, done. Oh, okay, let's get the dead back. I ran 100, I think it was a little over 100-yard blind on 2 whistles.
Rocking.
And you can't see the bird. Like, we were in a cut cord, but then on the second day, it was even better. I mean, now I'm seeing that, you see a dog when they run a blind where they're coming out and they're the senior level. They're a little unsure at times.
Right.
Well, on the second day, he wasn't going. I couldn't believe how fast he was going. He was going full sprint on a blind. Stop him, spin around, look at me, give him a cast, full sprint wherever I casted him.
Right.
So that on the hunt of, he's hearing all this shooting, but he can't see anything. Okay, I know there's got to be. If he's bringing me up and telling me dead back, there's something dead out there, and they just shot that. There's nothing like that.
And that's kind of brings you to a cool thing. In HRC, just to jump over, because this just jumped in my mind. In HRC, that's one of the reasons why at the seasoned level, which is their senior, their mid-level, they make you shoot before you run the blind. So they shoot. You got to walk up to your blind. Shoot the gun. Go dead bird. Shoot the gun. Gun open and safe. Set the gun down and run your blind. In seasoned level HRC. This summer, I think that'll be a goal. Is that we'll go to some HRC tests because you saw the AKC this summer. Yeah. Now it's good. It'll be good for you to experience an HRC, right? Where you got to actually operate a real gun and they actually take it serious. All right. Obviously, it's blanks, but you're actually using a real 870 shotgun in there. Okay, that's exactly what it is. Like you're talking about the dog sitting in the pit. He's hearing you guys shoot. He knows the shooting is over. And he's just sitting there trembling, waiting for you to open up the crate to say, let's go. So then when you come out and you point him, he goes, I don't care. As long as you point me that way, there's going to be a bird. And then they got a whole different attitude on running blinds, right? In training, when you're pushing them through to do drills and pattern blinds and 5-leg and V drill and walking baseball and all the drills we do to get them to, okay, well, they're constantly going and getting a reward of a bumper. All right. But they're not hearing the shooting every day.
Yeah.
Now, if you want to really go back and circle all the way back, Okay, well, that dog was imprinted at that way at 4 months old. That dog was imprinted at 4 months old on bird and gun country. Bang equals bird.
100%.
Right? Well, now you fast forward 2 years with Chaos because, 2 years ago he was just a puppy. You're just shooting 2 years ago, you would have been bird conditioning about
Right
now.
now,
He
I
was
showed
born
you
in
that
September.
video.
Yeah.
I showed you that video.
Okay, so you'd been bird conditioning about right now. He'd have been 3-4 months old. Bird and gun conditioning about right now. All right. That's 2 years ago. 2 years later, he's sitting in a pit blind covered up. Here's the shooting, comes out. You line him up. He says, oh, bang equals bird. Send me, boss. I'll go find one.
Yeah.
And then when you blow the whistle, he turns around at you excited. We're in training. Sometimes they turn around and go, I don't want to do this. You're just going to send me to a bumper gun. Well, too bad. You're doing it, right?
Yep.
Okay. And now he turns around, spins, and goes, "Where is it? Where is it? I can't wait to get there because I know there's another bird at the end of wherever you're sending me." And that sinkingness of there. So let's go. Let's have fun with it right now. Let's assess let's assess a duck season. So we're assessing a dog from 24. All right. And now you're going to go into 25. So we're going to assess. Okay. So my first thing would be, I'll start with the first thing. Would be, how did the dog handle multiple shooters shooting over his head? That's my first assessment. Okay?
I would say breaking. Is my dog consistently breaking?
Perfect.
Or did I have one error and then I corrected it and I didn't have a problem? Or do I have a couple errors and I was able to correct it and the rest of the season was good?
Right. And my next assessment would be, how did the dog leave different apparatuses? Dog stand, how did he get out of the boat? Because sometimes dogs will freeze up in different areas where if they're on a dog stand, they don't know when to leave. If they're in a boat, they freak out about jumping out of a boat because when we're training, they're used to just us sending them on the ground.
I mean, this goes with breaking, but line manners in terms of did he whine? How was he in the blind?
That's perfect. That's another subject that was good. Okay. And then my next thing would be is how did he get through decoys?
I was just gonna say that. Okay, yeah. I'll say how did he handle in terms of blind running?
Yep. How did he handle in terms of, okay, now I would say how did he retrieve? Did he come back and not be munching birds? Did he go out and grab the bird and come back and heal up perfectly and never mess with the bird?
I'd say how was his marking ability?
Right. Okay.
Was he pounding marks?
Right. Okay. And then I would say how's his marking ability? Did he start learning how to watch the sky?
My next one would be learning when you start calling that there's birds coming.
Right.
So did he figure out that, okay, I better get ready?
Right. When he's sleeping, then you start calling that he starts looking to the sky. Right. So that was perfect. That's where all this stuff would be. Okay. I would say, how did he handle multiple birds falling?
Oh, I would say, how do you do in the water? Entry and everything.
Exactly. And then I would say, I would say, how did he handle the abundance of scent when you were running a blind?
Oh, that's a good one.
Yep.
I'm out.
You're out. Okay.
Keep going.
Okay. Then I would say, how do you do honoring another dog?
Wow, that's a good one. That's a really good one.
All right. Okay. Then and then I would say one more would be, I got a few more, but one more would be, how do you handle, or how was his endurance for multiple retrieves? I mean, for doing a bunch of retrieves.
Oh, I got an important one.
Yeah.
How do you handle cripples?
Right. How do you handle cripples? Right. Okay. Yeah, and I'm probably out a little bit too now. But anyway, that's Alec and I going back and forth with an assessment that and then you might go, oh, they forgot about this. And probably when we get off this podcast, we're going to be like, Jesus, how did we not think of those 10 other things that we're going about? But we're saying that because those are like checklists to you of how you're assessing your dog and then where you're going to take them to next, right? So you might say, well, my dog don't even run blinds. Okay, well, so let's assess that. How many times this year would it have been nice to have a dog that could have ran a blind? If you say, man, I actually could have used the blind more than he marked, okay, because that's the way you hunt. Because sometimes the way you hunt, you just run blinds and there is no marks. Sometimes the way you hunt, it's all marks and you don't need blinds, right? Other ways you hunt, which is one thing I'd just say, I would say, how was his recovery when you had to go figure out where cripples were? So that would be another assessment. So when you had to walk them in and take them, because Once I send him on a blind, well, let's leave that alone. If we sail a bird that there's no way for me to send a blind. So remember, the hindrance of running a blind retrieve of hand signals is the fact that if he can't see me, I can't help him.
And then if I can't see the bird, I really can't help him.
Yeah, and if you can't see the bird, you really can't help him because you don't know the fall. You don't know the end of the blind, right? So when I went into the marsh and I told him, how did he quarter the marsh in the wind? Did he go and kick in his upland instincts and help me go find and recover the birds behind the marsh? All right, or out in the cut corn, or you sail a bird, you're sitting on a tree line, you sail a bird, and then it goes into a tree line and it starts going. Was he able to track him? And then what actually comes back to, it circles back to him being his upland ability, right? Okay, these assessments were how your dog is, and then back to the maturity of the season. Was he looking up? All the things we just mentioned as a package now. How do you assess the fact that he did well, right? That. We know. You told me what Chaos did. You were excited about him. Okay. I didn't get to waterfowl much hunt this year, so I didn't take a young dog waterfowling, so I don't have an assessment to go off of. But I can tell you when Journey and Cowboy and Winnie and all them were younger, I can tell you how their assessments went after the first season. Whatever your dog gained, whatever the package became, all right, he won't lose that. In fact, that knowledge is going to be sitting him. That's the wisdom we were talking about earlier about our human life, how we're hoping every year we get a little more wisdom. Well, we're hoping that every year our dog gets a little more wiser to the hunt and becomes more in tune. And wiser would just be more in tune, right? Well, same as us human. We just want to be more in tune with our life for the next year. Okay, we want our dog more in tune with skills for the next season. He's not going to lose that in tuneness. In fact, he's going to get more in tune to it each season to where in the mid-level of his career, you're just going to see that dog do amazing things. He's going to watch you shoot. He's going to stay still. He's going to relax. You're going to send him. He's going to run out there, pick the bird up, come back. He's going to make the whole scenario look so effortless that you're going to be like, what the heck? It's just going to frickin' bring a tear to your eye because the maturity and the training all came together during the hunt season, right? All right. If you're making that assessment, then your assessment will become, all right, he was weak here, or he was great here, or so in the off season,
what are you going to do?
What are you going to do? How are you going to make him a better marker? How are you going to make him run blinds better? How are you going to make him not to pop on the whistles? How are you going to make him shut up in the blind? Any problems? So now when we say an assessment, what problems arose in the season that you kind of let slide in the season because you're like, you know what? I don't care. I'm just hunting right now. I'll fix that when in the off season, right? Okay, and that's what you want to assess. We're in 25 now, right? And then you'd want to assess the same thing on your shooting, the same thing on your calling, and the same thing on your decoy spreads, all right? On how you were doing to get your birds to come in. Now you'd want to do the same thing on your upland. How in shape was I? How long could I stay with the dog? How well did I shoot the birds that got up in front of the dog? How was my shooting? How was my focus when a bird was? Was I mentally checked in or did I mentally check out? I mean, there's nothing more than like you're getting bored or you're not seeing birds and all of a sudden you're just kind of daydreaming. A rooster gets up, you turn to shoot and you miss it because you're like, God dang it, I went into low power mode. My own mental brain went into low power mode. I'm just going through the motions. And then when I tried to kick him out of low power mode and go into high power mode, it didn't do nothing and it's like buffering and I lost. And then the bird goes away. It sucks. I missed the goddamn bird, got up my feet. This is bullshit. Right? Okay, so those things are crucial of you going into the new year right now. Wingmasters this year, we didn't get accomplished what I wanted to get accomplished, which was getting our videos up, getting the website going, and getting stuff going. We ended up being so busy in-house. And we ended up having some technical difficulties with the camera because we're learning the cameras. We're learning the things that we just couldn't get the basis of what we want to do. So I had made a goal this year that I was not heading south, that I'm staying home in Wisconsin, and that we were going to start getting this puppy program going, and that we were going to start getting the fetch process going and the steadiness program going, and we're going to start hacking out the system to where you can make yourself a foundation dog by yourself. All right, where we can get the Wingmasters website up, which is going to have all the information, And obviously, if you can't train your own dog, then you send it in for training. Always remember that. People are saying to me about Wingmasters. I keep getting this comment from people. Ain't you shooting yourself in your own foot that you're not going to be training dogs? No, there's always going to be people in my world that don't have the time to train their own dog. If you don't have the time to train your own dog, then Wingmasters online program isn't for you. Then Wingmasters wing shooting, which is getting you better when we do the wing shooting part, and Wingmasters handling program is what you need. Just worry about the things that are just you, not the dog. All right? If you like the pride of doing it yourself, of doing it, I'm not worried about that. I want to see you do that. So what I've decided to do, what's come to mind, and I don't want to be held to it, but I kind of want to be held to it. Me and Alec are setting different goals, and we've been having really good conversations about the Wingmasters year, is that I'm going to take on 10 students. All right? And I'm going to do a mentorship program. And here's what it's looking like right now. Not all the details are out, and we're going to put this out. I'm going to put it online. I probably would start at February 1st. It'll be a butt kicker for Alec and I. It'll be a butt kicker for myself to make sure that we keep Wingmasters really rolling this year. We might have to use Patreon to start before the website. I'm going to take 10 students, 5 that are going to just be getting puppies, 5 that are going to go through the fetch process, and I'm going to give you rough cut videos. I'm going to give you X amount of phone consultations. I'm going to give you X amount of FaceTime consultations. You're going to pay me a fee, and I'm going to mentor you to train your dog through that process. All right? But I'm only going to take 10 students because that's all I'm going to be able to manage. What's going to be awesome about it, and why I'm wanting to do this too, I was just telling Alec this idea this morning, and it just came to me, is that it'll start showing me what the average person needs, what the average person is going to come to me with when they're having problems training their own dog, which that's just going to make us do the TAP program for the Wingmasters much better. So the TAP program, if you know what that is, it's what we call a TAP, T-A-P, train along process. I just had an awesome conversation with a local guy who's done so much stuff with the school forest here. It's such a good mentor hunter on here named Jerry Manny, and he stopped over. Or Jerry Maney, I said Manny. Jerry Maney, sorry, buddy. And we were just talking about how videos and shooting and trap leagues and all this stuff just lead people so astray because the videos already show the dog doing it. And we've mentioned this 1,000 times. You need to know what to do when things ain't going right. So the train along process is you get to follow along with me and learn how to train your dog. That's what the train along process. That's what I'm going to pride myself in. The good, the bad, the ugly. Much like my mentor, my own online business mentor is not a dog guy. It is Clinton Anderson, who is in the horse world, and a lot of people know him. And he started me on the path, and I'm using him as my mentor for building the online Wingmasters because he's done it with horses. And he says you need to video the best dog you have, you need to video the average dog, you need to video the worst, right? So we're picking those dogs out right now. We are taking the crate training because crate training must be done. Puppy training and socializing must be done. Fetch process must be done, all right? And showing you the good, the bad, the ugly, and that's why I'm staying home. So we can build this up. So with that being said, that's what the Wingmasters is, and then it'll go into steadiness, and then it'll go into marking, and then it'll go into blind retrieves and multiple marking, and go into hunt test and everything up on the waterfall side, and just slide all the way up. On the upland side, okay, it'll go to where it's courting, then it'll go into the whistle sit where you're sitting into the bird. Okay, then it'll go into where you're running tournaments. Then it'll go into where you're working multiple dogs in the field and how your dog's etiquette should be in the field when there's multiple dogs hunting birds, right? Okay. And you work up your levels of each thing so we can build it up. But to start, your main 3 things when it comes to the waterfowl world is, did you imprint them right as a puppy? Did you get them to fetch perfectly so that they bring the bird back perfectly? And did you get them to stay steady and quiet before you shoot the birds, right? Your main upland dog, okay, is did you teach him to search away from you? Did you teach him to stay in range? And does he bring you the birds back perfectly, right? All right, so those are like your milestones. And then what we do to get it there. Off of that is exactly what we just did in an assessment. Once this training is done, you got to go hunting. Get done with your season like we just talked about. assess it, and go back to the drawing board of how you want to train it. That's what Wing Masters is about. And then during your hunting, the Wing Masters is the culture of the spirit. The spirit inside of you that is like, man, I just love being a bird hunter, being out with my dog and with my friends and with my family and even your individual self. Like sometimes I like to go hunting just by myself. I don't like to always go with somebody, right? Okay, so that's what we're building. That's what's exciting. All right, then I'm wearing one of them right now. If you can see on the video, if you can't, I have the new 3 styles of Wingmaster Upland hats in. The merch, I will be starting to get. I'm sorry about the merch. I'll be starting to get more on the merch. Hoodies and hats will be what we'll be starting with there, and we'll be starting to promote that more. The Wingmaster knife, you saw me advertise. I'm grabbing this baby right now. This is B Mountain Knife Works. Ben Bryan, my cousin, he nailed this so gosh dang good. You can't get better breasting knife than this knife I got right here. All right, they're $200, and literally this thing is in this sheath that locks in. It can't come out of it. You can carry it in your pocket. You can carry it in your bag. All right, it's a necessity for being a wing master. It's a necessity for bird hunting. This is a breasting knife. It has like when I pull this baby out, it's got like 3-inch blade. It's curved perfectly. You can put your finger on the back of it. You can breast, get every piece of meat off of it. You can cut once you get your meat off, you can cut all the fat and stuff right off it with the same knife. You can sharpen it. This thing is like razor sharp. My B Mountain Knife Works is funny. Ben is funny. He hands you this kit, okay? He gives you the knife. He gives you this kit, this business card, and a couple things inside of it, how to clean your knife, okay? And then he's got a Band-Aid in it. He's got a dang Band-Aid in it. Where he's like, yeah, as if that's going to slice your damn finger off of this thing. You got to be careful of these things that are going there. So get yourself, if you're wanting a knife, a breasting knife, this is endorsed by us, made with B Mountain Knife Works, and they only come in batches of 10, so we'll have to get prepaid for another batch of 10. All right, here we go, 2025. It's time now that we're excited about to release our first podcast guest. This year was about you guys getting to know Alec and I, and we're always going to podcast at times just about what we got going on in our own adventures and have fun, right? That's going to be it. But I know you guys have been long awaiting. I'm like, well, when are you just going to get a guest? So that's what this 25 is going to be. 25 is going to be about. What we'd like to do is get 5 to 6 guests, which means we'd have a guest podcast about every other month, right? We have some phenomenal people that I've met in my career that I've contacted some of them or saw them on the Hunt Test Trail or saw them and even in the martial arts world, that'll be good people to come on. And about doing podcasts with them where we get to share experiences and stories with people that you guys all know, right? Or will know or get to know. And it's going to be fun. So, with the drum roll of our first guest, I know, I'm not saying his name. All right. But here's what's going to happen. Because if I say his name, then it goes right in. Here's what's going to happen. We're going to call this guy. And we're going to go on a live on our Facebook and Instagram. And we're going to call him. And then he's going to come on. And he's going to say hi to you through a phone call. All right? It's going to be fun. And then once he says hi to your phone call, then we're going to give the release date of when the first episode goes. We have 5.5 hours of footage, don't we, with him. Sitting at his place, I won't say where. All right? And for you people that know who I've had, because it's leaked out a little bit of who we went to, just relax and don't say nothing, please, you goofies. All right? And you're about to be enlightened by a legend and somebody who's inspired me a lot and I talk about a lot, and I can't wait to broadcast. So what we're going to do here is get ready now off of this episode for us to make a phone call. This episode's going to come out. You're going to hear us say this. All right. We're going to give a little bit of time, probably the end of this week. So what is today? January 1st. What is today? Well, it's New Year's, dumbass. We're only doing a New Year's podcast. No. Yeah. All right. So then we're going to announce it probably by the end of the week, get them on the phone, and then we're going to announce a release date of the first episode. It'll be a 3-part series. And then you're about to enjoy a 3-part series that we're going to release. So while we're starting to build Wingmasters this month, we're going to start releasing the pre-recorded episodes of this person. And it's going to be fun now, and we're going to build it up. If there's things that you guys want to see on this podcast, see and hear, all right? There's things you guys want to see and hear on this podcast, start throwing them at us, all right? I have some awesome things I want to talk about. We jump around. I think it's important in as we're ending this podcast that I'm excited about that. I don't want this podcast to be all about dogs. It's about self-improvement. It's about, ideologies. It's about concepts. It's about dogs. It's about trying to become better. It's about change. It's, just remember, you can't change. You'll never change. Yeah, I know you can change. Pretty much change all the time. I don't know where that comes from. And that's what the podcast is about. And that's about to tell you the truth. So if somebody comes up with some concepts, we're going to debunk it. If it's not the truth, we debunk it. If it's the truth, we'll expand upon it. But guys, thank you so much for the first year. Alec and I thank you from the bottom of our hearts. Okay, that this has been a phenomenal year. This was episode 10, I believe. So we got 9 episodes off in the year, which was almost an episode a month. All right, we had to go through different spots. And it was about building up the Wingmasters. And now we're going to get to do podcast, which is going to be fun. That when you and I jump on a podcast, we're going to start to be able to do podcast about filming and things we're going through with the filming dogs, with the puppies and with the dogs that are filming, to where we can start giving you guys heads up on it. And then as things come out and the programs come out, releasing the packages you can buy, and you can start the Wingmasters methodologies. And meanwhile, while I'm also writing a manual about it, kind of writing a Wingmaster book that kind of sets the whole presence of it, what I'm going, and start enjoying it, because what the biggest thing I'm getting right now from people, the biggest hate I'm getting from the good people is, where is it? Where is it? Like, we bought into it, Mike. A year of you telling us about Wingmasters. We want to train our dog using our methodologies. Where is it? It's like, yeah, no, I agree. I've been kind of teasing you for about 365 days.
Oh, man.
We got to get it together. So, guys, thanks for hanging with us. Happy New Year. I hope you guys have a great season. We wish you the best. We're excited to hang with you for another year. Love you all.
I was just about to say Merry Christmas.
What, are you falling asleep over there?
No, you said we wish you a Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I thought you were going to say. I'm like, I thought he was going to say it.
Yeah. We wish you a Happy New Year. And
thank you.
And thank you guys for everything. And we're going to bow right now and get ready to go rock the year and start going on goals and having a good time. Thank you, guys. We'll be back soon.